I'm a 36-year-old man, and my ex-wife, Laura, 34, was once the center of my world until she tore it apart in the most devastating way. We shared 8 years of marriage, built a life together, and I trusted her with everything. That trust turned out to be my greatest mistake. Laura didn't just betray me with an affair. She constructed an entirely separate existence behind my back. For over a year, she'd been involved with a guy named Ethan, 38, a shady, self-proclaimed businessman who convinced her she deserved better than me. But it wasn't just infidelity. Laura and Ethan were scheming to ruin me financially while planning our divorce long before I had any clue. While I worked tirelessly to secure our future, they were plotting to strip me of everything and walk away laughing. Laura had been quietly transferring assets into her name, playing the devoted spouse while secretly siphoning funds from our shared accounts. She'd even hired a top-tier divorce lawyer before dropping the bombshell. One day, I came home to find half our house cleared out. She'd already moved in with Ethan. A letter from her attorney sat on the kitchen counter, demanding half my company, our home, exorbitant alimony, my car, and even our dog. She thought she'd outsmarted me, believing I'd crumble under her meticulously planned attack. What she didn't know was that I'd uncovered her scheme months earlier and had my own legal team working in the shadows. I didn't try to stop the divorce. I wanted it to unfold, letting her believe she'd won. My plan was to let her and Ethan revel in their false victory until the courtroom showdown, where they'd face total devastation. What pushed me to the edge wasn't just the money Laura was moving around. As my lawyer and I dug deeper, we discovered something far worse. Laura and Ethan had been stealing from my company. I run a thriving tech consultancy built from scratch, structured as an LLC solely in my name, meaning Laura had no legal claim to it. But she made a critical error. She'd been skimming funds through fake invoices, phony payments disguised as vendor costs that funneled money into a secret account she shared with Ethan. It totaled about $80,000 over a year, enough to constitute embezzlement. And Ethan, he was complicit. Ethan, the genius he wasn't, had created a shell company to bill my business for non-existent services. My accountant caught the discrepancies, and the paper trail led straight to them. Instead of just fighting for my assets in divorce court, my lawyer quietly filed a separate fraud lawsuit against them both. I kept it under wraps, letting Laura and Ethan think they were outmaneuvering me while I waged a strategic legal battle. The divorce hearing arrived, and they strutted into court like they owned the place. Laura had a high-priced attorney, and she sat next to Ethan, acting like an unstoppable power couple. I played my part perfectly, hunched over, quiet, looking like a broken man, letting them bask in their triumph. And they did. Laura and Ethan didn't just smirk, they taunted me. Laura whispered loudly to her lawyer. He looked so defeated. Ethan snickered and said, "Should have hustled harder, pal. Maybe she wouldn't have upgraded." Laura put on a fake pout and said, "Don't be upset, you'll find someone cheaper." Ethan even stared me down and mouthed, "Pathetic." The judge wasn't watching, and their lawyer let them act like smug bullies. They thought they were invincible, exactly as I'd planned. They were still grinning when the judge began reading the asset division. The court awards the marital home to the petitioner, Miss Laura Bennett, as per the agreed terms. Laura shot me a triumphant look, as if she'd already won everything. Ethan leaned back, arms crossed, like he was at a comedy show. The judge continued, "The court also finds that a division of assets is warranted. The petitioner has made a claim on the respondent's business for equitable distribution." This was their moment of glory. Laura's lawyer stood, brimming with confidence, arguing that Laura had been pivotal to my company's success through emotional support, even though she never worked there. It was nonsense, but in some cases, courts can award a spouse a share of a business if they contributed indirectly. They thought they had me cornered. Ethan nudged Laura, barely hiding his laughter. Then my lawyer stood. "Your Honor, before proceeding with the financial division, there's a critical matter to address." He handed thick files to the judge and Laura's legal team. "These documents detail fraudulent financial activity affecting the respondent's business. Specifically, we've uncovered multiple fake invoices and embezzled funds totaling over $80,000, orchestrated through a shell company linked to Mr. Ethan Carter." The room went silent. Laura's smug expression froze. Ethan's face drained of color. Laura's lawyer scrambled through the papers, clearly blindsided. I leaned back, watching the chaos unfold. "Per these records," my lawyer continued, "the petitioner and Mr. Carter knowingly issued fraudulent invoices, diverting funds into a joint account in their names." The judge's face hardened. Counsel, are you saying the petitioner committed fraud against her husband's business during the marriage? My lawyer nodded. Yes, Your Honor. This fraud invalidates her claim to any share of the business. Additionally, we filed a separate lawsuit for damages, seeking full restitution of the stolen funds. Laura snapped out of her shock. That's not true. This is fabricated. Ethan, ever the fool, made it worse. You can't prove anything. We didn't. He stopped, realizing he'd just implicated himself. The judge turned to Laura's lawyer. Does your client wish to contest these allegations? Her lawyer, now ashen, whispered urgently to Laura, likely begging her to stay quiet. Too late, I couldn't resist. In a calm tone, I said, hope that house was worth it. Laura's face went pale. Ethan was sweating profusely. My lawyer pressed on. Your Honor, given this evidence, we request the immediate denial of spousal support, as it would be unjust to reward someone who defrauded the respondent. The judge agreed. Laura got nothing, no share of my business, no money, no alimony, but it didn't end there. The judge was livid. Given the gravity of this financial misconduct, he said, I'm referring this matter for further investigation into potential criminal charges. Embezzlement is a serious crime. Ethan swallowed hard. Laura burst into tears, panicking. No, this isn't right. I didn't know. The judge wasn't swayed. You and your partner deliberately engaged in fraudulent activity. This court will not condone such behavior. Furthermore, the respondent has grounds to pursue civil damages. Laura lost it, screaming, This isn't fair. He can't do this. Ethan, her arrogant boyfriend, was now silent, staring at the judge like he could undo the ruling. Court officers escorted them out as Laura kept yelling and Ethan stood frozen, replaying every poor choice he'd made. I walked out of the courtroom calm, victorious, and free. I thought that was the end, but I was mistaken. 3 months later, my lawyer called. The district attorney, after reviewing the fraud case, decided to press criminal charges. Laura and Ethan were indicted for embezzlement. Ethan was arrested at his apartment. Laura, facing prison time, turned on him, claiming he masterminded the scheme and she was just following his lead. Ethan took the fall, 18 months in prison and ordered to pay full restitution. Laura avoided jail but was financially ruined, forced to sell everything to cover her legal fees. Last I heard, she was working a low-wage job, living in a cramped apartment, and had no social life. Ethan filed for bankruptcy from prison. Meanwhile, I'm still thriving, still free, and still smiling. Justice was served.